All right. Hey, guys. Welcome back to the 3-2-1 Go show. We haven't thought of a name, so we're sticking with it. I kind of like it. I think it's good.
Goes. Rolls off the tongue.
So we got some Q&As to roll through today. Obviously, we put up a post the other day or a story the other day with a question box for you guys to send in some questions that obviously we're going to answer today. But first of all, how are you, my man? How's things?
Good. How are
been,
you?
Yeah, I'm
You're
good.
in comp prep.
Yeah, comp prep.
How long to go?
15 weeks on Saturday.
How you feeling?
Good. This is probably the first week where I've been actually hungry.
Yeah. I've seen, like, even in your training, like halfway through, you can kind of see, like, you kind of look like a lot more tired than you normally are.
Yeah, 100%. Like, it's weird, man. Like, I feel good, like, mentally and stuff like that.
You look so good, though. On your pump, your veins are popping. You can see
bro.
lines in your... Oh, mate, I'm telling you, you look your best I've ever seen.
Cheers, brother. Cheers. Yeah, well... Fuck,
get your diet break this weekend.
Yeah, man. Maintenance calories start tomorrow. I find out tomorrow morning how long that's for. Once Steve gets that back to me, that's my trainer. Once he gets back to me, so it's either going to be between 2 to 5 days, depending on like how lean I am. But from what he mapped out, we're a little bit ahead of schedule in the way of like weight, but like obviously he needs to see like measurements done tonight, plus like posing, plus send in before and after, like check-in shots and stuff like that. So once he decides that, hopefully I get like 4 or 5 days.
Well, if you're looking this good 15 weeks out, it'll be a walk in the park. I felt like I was chasing my tail 12 weeks out, so it's good.
It's good. Yeah, nice, man. How are you?
Good, man. I got sick after Bali. I lost about 4 kilos. I gained about 2 back, but I've really, I guess, lost my strength. And so, I don't know. Everyone knows you get sick or you get injured. It's kind of like climbing back up the mountain, but I'll get there.
Yeah, 100%, bro. It's like that old thing is like you feel like you're in a shit place at the moment, but then like you give it like 2-3 months and it's like you don't really remember
These are
that.
the moments that make you see if you really want something.
Yeah, well, that's true.
How determined you are. And it's when things are going bad that shows your true, I guess, character and strength. So it's a test, but, you know, when I see people like you and people around me, like I got this young guy I'm training as well, who's competing in April.
Yeah, I've seen that. That's cool.
So it kind of gives me that fire again because I actually want to do it real bad. So it's good. I'm glad. It's not my time now. It's your time. So it'll be good to come watch you and, you're going to win.
Been showing me some posing practice, man.
We have to, bro.
I've got a long way to go on my posing.
That's all right. 15 weeks out and you're practicing posing now. I didn't start till like 10 weeks out. So it's good.
Yeah. Nice, bro.
All right. Let's get into these
questions, eh?
So the first one, how large of a calorie deficit should I be in to lose weight? Now, since you're in your cut, what do you recommend?
Obviously, it's quite a broad question, isn't it? Like, you know what I mean? And I think a lot of these answers are going to be quite broad because people obviously we don't know the context behind it. But I think anywhere between 15-30% is a good start. So if you know your maintenance calories are about, say, 2,000 calories, just to give it a nice round number, say 15 to 30% below whatever your maintenance calories is. So what's that? That could be either like 1,700 all the way down to 1,400.
Yeah, they say about
like
3 to 500 calories on average.
Yeah, 15 to 30% would be about that. We fall in that 500 range. I think always go, like, especially if you don't have a timeline, I think it's like a little bit different from when you're doing comp prep and stuff like that. You want to sort of get ahead of time. But if you don't really have a timeline and you're just sort of coming, it's like New Year, as we spoke about before, and you set yourself a goal that you want to lose like 5 kilos or whatever over the course of the year, I think always start off on the lighter end, so like 15%, say.
And see how your body adapts to it.
See how your body adapts to it, exactly. And then you've always got that wiggle room if you want to adjust a little bit more. So say if you get a stall, you can drop a little bit further.
I know. You know why that is? Because if you cut them so drastically, then to lose more weight, you're going to have to either do more activity or even cut it even more. And that's just, once you get to, if you get to like 1,000 calories, that's what I did my first comp. I cut too quickly. I didn't listen to some of my coach's advice and it kind of backfired in the long run. So definitely start slow, see how your body and your weight goes down. And then if your performance is still up, good. It's a good sign. If you're losing weight and your performance is up in the gym, I say that's around perfect. Up until you hit a dead end again. And then obviously You either have to cut a bit more food or add a bit more activity.
Yeah. I think that's a good point that you bring up as like training as well. Like if you've got the energy to train, especially like, again, I say if you're out of sort of comp prep or anything like that, if you've got energy to train, obviously you're going to maximize the amount of muscle that you will be able to retain. Yeah. So if your training starts to drop off and you notice that you're not as strong as what you used to be, or you can't get as much reps as what you used to be able to get, then that's generally a pretty decent indication that you might be actually losing muscle along the way. So it might be too low. So it might be the time to maybe put it back up, or potentially go into like a deload or something like that.
Like what you're having, have a
diet break. Exactly. So like we've noticed that my numbers are starting to drop now, like in the last probably week and a half. So I just can't replicate what I was doing sort of week 3, week 4 of the mesocycle. So like this is week 5 now, heading into deload. And so now obviously we're going deload, maintenance calories. So then when I come back, I should be a lot fresher and I should be able to hit better numbers.
Because it is a lot psychological. When you're at such a low amount of food to what you're used to, you know, your mind plays a bit of games on you. You get more agitated, things like that. So to have a bit of a diet break, you know, it kind of refreshes everything.
Yeah. 100%. Like even
I
last
remember my comp prep, I was like, fuck.
Yeah, man. Even like the last few days is like low calories, and I'm just like, you get to that point where you get that sort of like, you get sort of that lean and you that hungry that you eat and you still feel as hungry as before you ate. Like it's such a weird, it's a real weird feeling.
That was nothing.
And then so like you get to that point and like all that's getting me through is like, I can eat 3,300 calories tomorrow.
Yeah, now you know what I mean? You're going to love it.
Yeah, I'll love it. And then it'll be back to this cycle all over again.
It's all right. You'll be strong as an ox on Monday.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. Can you build muscle and lose fat at the same time? Probably get asked this question fucking shitloads.
Yeah. Do
Um,
you want to go? Or?
I think when you're starting off training, yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Because you got the newbie gains. So your body's, you know, pretty much adapting to all the training you're giving it. And the changing of food. So yeah, I'd say if you haven't trained in a year or so, or just starting, I'd say the first couple months, you can definitely do that. But over time, your body adapts.
100%.
And it's not to say that you can't, but you just have to be like really on your numbers. And even the best people aren't like that. So
yeah, I think like, and just to add to your one with the beginners, potentially people with like a higher body fat percentage as well. Sort of like.
And they don't have muscle mass?
Yeah. And like they've maybe got limited muscle mass, but that's generally because they have so much energy in reserve that like your body's less inclined to break down sort of
actually,
protein.
Great point. Yeah,
if you're muscle.
If you're over a certain percentage of body fat, it is a lot easier for that to happen.
That in beginners. And then even bringing it back to point, like even if it was like your goal was to build muscle and lose fat at the same time, you'd have to be, if you were past like into like sort of intermediate into advanced trainer, so like you've been training for say more than 3 years or something, you'd have to be that meticulous and that perfect. And like you'd like over like 6 months, you might gain like 700 grams of muscle and lose like 700 grams of fat. You
so slow.
Like, you know what I mean? You're better off. And it's like, and there's a reason why bodybuilders do this is go into a bulk and then go into a cut, because you're more heading in the direction of one rather than trying to sort of like, it's like they say, like you try and chase, what is it, 2 birds or 2 chickens or whatever, and you end up catching none. You know what I mean? It's sort of the same sort of thing, isn't it? It's like if you can direct all your focus, prioritize your training, prioritize your eating, prioritize everything to like building muscle, and then the opposite when you come into a cut, I think you're going to be a lot further ahead than someone that's like, oh, so meticulous
and then it kind of, you lose the enjoyment out of it, and you probably give up after a while because you're not getting the results that you kind of want.
Yeah.
It's kind of like anything. If you want to save money and then you want to go out and do all these things, it's kind of like, you know, counterintuitive. It's like, which side do I go to? But if you just stick to one solid goal, just like, you know, gaining muscle or losing fat, you're going to get there a lot quicker.
Yeah, 100%, man. Yeah. And that's a good point. It's like if you're saving for a holiday, it's not like if you just went into 3 months of saving, you'd be a lot better off than like trying to jiggle your way through going out.
Getting fucking.
So I think if you don't fall out, if you fall like outside of the category of like you're either beginner where you're going to get newbie gains, like you said, or like you've got a reasonably high body fat percentage, so you've got plenty of energy to make sure you're not breaking down too much muscle. I think anything outside that, you're just better off going bulk and shred.
Yeah, I think see where you're
if
at.
You really want to get.
If you're at a higher body fat percentage, focus on losing fat for a couple months.
Yep, that's a good point.
And then build.
Yep.
If you're the opposite, you're what is it, an ectomorph?
Yep.
Yeah, if you're really skinny and you want to build a bit more mass, and you have, say you're under 15% body fat, focus on gaining.
Yep.
It's all whatever you have at the moment. What you got to improve on the other end of the spectrum. So yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Okay, another fucking question that we always get. How do I get abs, lose lower ab fat? That's you, my man, Mr. Cut.
Yeah. It's definitely not by doing 100,000 sit-ups. No, that's for sure.
I wish it was, but it's not.
It's not the way. We all have abs, no matter like what you perceive your body fat percentage to be and how big you seem to think you are. Everyone has abs no matter what size you're at. It's just that it might be covered by a little bit more fat than other people.
100%.
So, and this I seen a post on this the other day, and they hit sort of the nail on the head. Is like people, when they say they go to train biceps, like how do you train biceps? You know what I mean? You get, obviously try and bring it as close to failure as possible, progressively overload it, blah, blah, blah. You wouldn't just sit there and just do this for 500 reps and think that you're going to get bicep curls. But that's how people train abs.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like you train abs so polar opposite to how you would train your chest, your legs, everything. But at the same time, but at the end of the day, it's still a muscle. So like...
And the only reason why those areas look better is because they have less fat over the top.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why. You might have certain areas in your body very defined. You can see maybe veins, lines, but then around the midsection or something, you can't really see anything. It's because everyone, especially with genetics, when you start losing body fat, you're going to notice different areas of your body are going to lose fat in different areas. Like for me, my stubborn fat's in my back.
Yeah, that's the same for me.
But my abs, straight away, I can see them. Everywhere, my back is like number one killer. Other people, they'll have amazing backs, but they just... they can't see anything in their midsection. So it's all determined on genetics and, just your body fat percentage. I'd say when you get about 10% and lower, that's when you really start to see them. So, it just goes back to our last question about, can I gain muscle and lose fat? Focus on losing the fat. So if getting into a cut for maybe 3 to 4 months, have a few diet breaks in between and just work on that. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, 100%. At the end of the day,
it's not easy though.
A calorie deficit is what's going to get abs on you. It's going to get abs on you. And and as you said, it's a really good point about like genetics and how people store body fat. Like I remember when we were playing footy and we used to get DEXA scans and skin folds and stuff all the time. So we'd have a really good indication as to like where we're sort of at body fat percentage wise. And like I was always pretty lean, like in around sort of 10 to 12% body fat like all the time. But there was guys that looked better than me, like had full abs and everything, but they'd be up around like 14%, 15%. And it was always sort of like Polynesians where they have a good distribution of fat. They have a good distribution of fat. So like, although their arms might look as lean, but like they were sort of the same across. So like they'd have defined like sort of six packs, but still be sort of like 14, 15% body fat. So it's very much comes down to like genetics as to how hard it can be to get abs, but everyone can get abs. If you just gotta diet harder.
Have to work harder than others. Yeah.
You might have to get sub 10% because literally the last bit of fat you lose is right there where the abs are. And like as you said, your abs come in quick, but your back's sort of slower.
And unfortunately, you might think you have big muscles in certain areas. When you start losing fat, a lot of it is actually fat. So when you start leaning out, you might have like say a big chest or something, come under 10% body fat. You're like, fuck, where did half of my chest go? Or your legs. From my legs, I'd always lose heaps. So it's you'll see
me too,
as your body, when he gets deeper into his cut, he's going to lose certain like muscle groups and he's going to be a bit disheartened because you think it's big, but up until you get into a certain body fat percentage, you're like, shit, okay, maybe it wasn't muscle, but
it's like a little
at least you know. So then next time you bulk, okay, I'm really going to smash that body part more.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, next one.
It's calorie deficit for abs, guys. That's how you get it.
Easy. No, it's not easy.
Simple, not easy.
Exactly. Top 3 overrated and underrated subs.
Well, this is a good one. We were saying this all day. This is a good one.
Let's go. Overrated.
Overrated, fat burners,
100%.
BCAAs.
Yeah.
I'll come back.
Go. That's your opinion. That's all it is.
And I want to say like test boosters.
Okay. My overrated, fat burners. This is a hard one. I'd say weight gainer. I think it's a load of shit. And
weight gainer is a good one. That's a good one.
I can't think of another one. I did used to think BCAs, but I've come to the conclusion. You know what? It is overrated if you are taking a certain amount of protein in your body. You kind of don't need it. So, yeah.
I think I know you're like. I've started actually taking BC, actually EAAs.
Yeah.
If you're going to take anything, take EAAs because like you get a bigger sort of
better
pool
panel
of amino acids. But in prep, it does help. I've found it actually helps with training.
Fuck.
Like when I was sort of starting to struggle heading into the last little bit of this mesocycle, I actually added EAAs, in
training,
and it actually like helps. Whether that be placebo, could be placebo, but at the end of the day, it helps.
I used to be full against placebo, but now I see it as if it's giving me a 5% boost, even mentally.
100%. When you're talking 1%ers, like when you get into this
matter.
time prep, 100%. But I'd say like for general population, if you're hitting like your protein target, as you said, if you're hitting your protein target, absolutely waste of time.
Yeah, and
for the majority of population.
So let's go over that. I think it's only overrated if you are like starting off. If you're kind of advanced or you're a competitor, so on and so forth, then you can utilize that tool. But I wouldn't use it. You're just wasting your money, pretty much.
Yeah, and we'll get into obviously the underrated now, which obviously you prioritize your money towards instead of BCAAs, fat burners.
All right, what's your
weight gain? That was a good one. That's
actually, because when I was growing up,
I used to take it heaps too, bro.
You see the bottles with the bodybuilders, Jay Cutler or Bronny Coleman, and you're thinking, okay, they all look amazing. They must take this protein because they're on the bottle. So when I was like 16, 17, I would have like 3 of the bastards.
Yeah.
It was probably like 1,000 calories each shake. You feel like shit. You're bloated. You're farting all the time.
Yeah, it's the worst. Bro,
and then you're not even gaining. You're getting fat.
I had one time when I was walking home from the gym. Honestly, I had to sit down on like the side of the road, bro. I thought I was going to faint. It was so bad.
They just put so much shit inside of
so much crap.
Just side of like 2 or 3 scoops, and it just makes you feel like shit.
Yeah, 100%.
So I learned the hard way that it does not work. Yeah. If anything, focus on food, man. Food is your best ally.
100%.
That's just going to add on to protein, but I would never take a weight gainer. If anything with protein, I like getting a protein that is purely protein, hardly any carbs, hardly any sugars, and then I can add that stuff if I want to.
Yeah.
All the rest of the stuff is pretty much crap. So, all right, so underrated.
I don't know if there's so much underrated, but I'm just going to go my top 3 supplements.
Top 3. Let's go.
So you just go protein, creatine, and caffeine. I know it's boring, but
most of
the
training and programs and everything is fucking boring. Yep. Everyone wants the new hype.
There's no secrets out there, man. No, like Mr. Olympia is not keeping any secrets. He hasn't got some
maybe
secret
a few,
juice.
but
yeah, he might be using a few different things, but for the general population, he's not keeping any secrets from you that you need to know.
No, it's just those guys that push a product that does absolutely fuck all of that. 100%. I just don't,
Would you add on any to the underrated?
I think you hit the nail on the head, man. Creatine. When I was younger, I used it, and it really helped out with my strength and making my muscle look more full and stuff like that. Definitely protein powder because, it can be overrated and underrated. It goes both ways. I wouldn't overdo it with the protein shake. All my clients, I say at least have 1 or 2 max a day. Don't go 5 a day. That's just stupid. So, and caffeine. Obviously, it helps boost your workouts, especially if you've got a hard labor job or something like that, or need to use a lot of energy throughout the day, and you just want that little bit of edge, or maybe there's a body part you're lacking in, and you want to really push that session. Yeah, caffeine's the go-to, man.
Leg day for me, bro. I'll let that fucking load up.
Oh, man. Yeah, I had 2 scoops today for leg day.
Let's go.
I'm still jittery and sweaty and shit. But yeah, I think we pretty much answered that question.
Probably the only other one maybe is magnesium for like sleep or fun.
Magnesium, melatonin are like two together.
That's like I actually noticed the other day, the only time my sleep's been bad through this prep is we ran out of magnesium and we order our magnesium off iHerb. So it took like 3 or 4 days to come.
You take citrate or do you know?
We take bisglycinate.
Okay.
Bisglycinate and threonate. Okay. So threonate's supposed to help cross the blood-brain barrier and like help the brain relax. So like you're actually meant to sleep.
Okay. Bro, I need that 24/7.
Maybe, maybe it's placebo, but man, I wear my Oura ring. My sleep score dropped straight into like the 60s, high like 68s. And then like that was for that 4 days. And then after it was back up in the high 70s.
Have you tried melatonin?
Yeah, it doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for me. I fall asleep really well and then I'm wide awake at 2 a.m.
What about ashwagandha?
Yeah, I've actually spoken to my coach. We might actually incorporate that later in prep. It's supposed to help with like stress and stuff like that and relax you out heaps.
When I started using it my second prep, after a few days, I just felt a difference. I wasn't as anxious. Yeah. Because when you're in comp prep and you're low on food and stuff, you're adrenaline and you're like full in stress mode all the time. So when I was taking that, I reckon it cut it in half. It might have been placebo too, but I've actually done a lot of research on it and, it's a pretty well-known Indian herb and it does wonders. So if you are stressing or you do have high anxiety or you got maybe a high-stress job, I'd say give ashwagandha a try. I take about 450 milligrams a day in the morning. Yeah. And when I don't have it, like when I was in Bali, I kind of could feel a difference. Yeah, I just felt like always on edge kind of feeling. Yeah. So give it a crack, just like, it's trial and error with everything, training, supplements. Give a few things that we've recommended to try and see what works for you because it's not going to work for everyone. But yeah.
And obviously we're not physicians and doctors.
No, we're just giving you the advice that we do.
We're just saying that what we do. So don't take it too hard. Easy on that shit.
Disclaimer.
Yeah, 100%.
All right. What is carb cycling?
Carb cycling.
Do you do that at all?
Not really, man.
I've done it a few times. I've seen like a few top athletes that use it.
Yeah. How'd you go with it? What did you do with it first of all? I
basically carb cycling. If we explain it, it's basically cutting carbs out for a few days, like under like 50 grams of carbs a day, maybe 3 or 4 days. So you deplete all the glycogen in your muscle. That's what keeps it full and strong. And then you kind of like overcompensate in carbs. So the third or fourth day you go ham. You go maybe 200 or 300 grams of carbs to restore the glycogen in your muscle.
It's supposed to be like around training days and stuff like.
It's more in a cut, and some people think that because you don't have glycogen in your muscle when you train, it actually burns fat a lot more efficiently. I don't really know much about it, but I've tried it myself. I didn't really like it, so
yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I've heard some people swear by it and some people say it's useless. I think for general population, I'd say it's useless. At the end of the day, it's just you just need to get your calories at the right point. It's like that old like fasted cardio and stuff like that. Like that myth's been broken. They show that like if you're on the same amount of calories each day, it's just like how they say like you burn more fat during that exercise, which is true. But then because you have to eat like if you're on 2,000 calories, so you don't eat in the morning, but then you eat 2,000 calories after working out. So you're burning less fat when you're eating the 2,000 calories as opposed to the person who eats beforehand and then they'll burn a little bit more fat because they've only got, say, 1,500 calories left for the rest of the day because they ate before. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, it all just balances out.
As long as you do your cardio.
Yeah, exactly. Like your cardio is just burning calories and then you're just eating calories. So it's the net equation of
I think I've got the reason to why people think that is. Because they follow a bodybuilder, right? Yeah. That maybe he's competing for the Olympia. You know why they don't eat in the morning and do cardio? Because they're taking growth hormone, they're taking clenbuterol. So those two two drugs together, when you're on an empty stomach, it kind of works a lot better for the fat burning process in the morning.
Yeah. And I've heard they inject L-carnitine.
Probably.
Which like drives fat into the cell, like so like apparently Because like you can take L-carnitine, but apparently if you inject it, it's like next level.
Oh, really?
Yeah, apparently. Disclaimer,
There's
don't do
a secret.
I don't know.
I don't even think you can get it in Australia.
Yeah, you probably can't. But I don't know. I heard on that, and that's what they were saying. That like, yeah, if you're a bodybuilder taking,
well, that's
like
what that's what all the bodybuilders do. They do the fastest cardio, but that's because they're doing all that other shit.
Yeah.
So if you're just an average Joe Blow, just do your cardio. Don't worry about when you're eating and shit like that.
If you like eating beforehand, do it. If you don't, do it.
Okay, this is a hard one because me and Ryan are not a female.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts on women on the pill and the impact on the female body? I'm just gonna go off like ex-girlfriend experience.
Well, my missus isn't on the pill.
Yeah,
and that's like not because we're trying to have kids.
Has she ever been?
She was when we first met.
Stuffed her up a bit.
I wouldn't say stuffed her up.
Didn't feel right.
I've just gone off like what I've heard people say that are like a lot smarter than me and have actually studied.
Yeah, didn't you did a podcast with some...
Yeah, Dee Zavara.
And she spoke about...
Yeah, and she knows a lot about it. But mostly like... And like also Derek speaks about this from More Plays, More Dates. He talks about it and goes through like a few different studies. Yeah, I don't know. It's such a contentious topic and it kind of comes down to you. And at the end of the day, I think...
What are your reasons for taking it?
Yeah.
There's so many different ones, so you got to, I guess, find one that works for you. Because I've heard some heaps of horror stories, like not having their period in so long and feeling bloated, no energy, stuff like that. And actually weight gain as well. It's very common.
From what I heard, it's like it reduces women's free testosterone.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, apparently. Do your own research.
Yeah, I don't.
This
we don't
is
know.
what I've heard from people that are like smarter than me. I'm not definitely like.
You know what? It's basically
we're definitely not qualified to talk about this.
The way I see it logically, it's like steroids. Like when a man messes with their hormones, just like the pill, you don't know which way your body's going to go. Everyone's got a different, genetic makeup, DNA.
Some people are more sensitive to it.
Yeah, some people, it might do really well for them. Others, they might get so many bad side effects. So it's like, what's the point of even doing it? And for instance, like my sister, she had that one they put in their arm.
Oh, yeah. I don't know.
Whatever they call it. And it didn't even work. My niece is here now. So a lot of it might not even work for you. So, yeah.
Or he's got really strong swimmers. There you go.
Yeah, but...
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyways.
Yeah, I feel like it's like, your decision. Do your research. Listen to people that are a lot smarter than us, especially in that topic.
Exactly, because we don't know much about that. I try to answer that, whoever asked that question on my Instagram, but that's all you're going to get.
The best we can do. Best we can do with that.
All right, lucky last.
Here we go.
So this is a cycle question that I got. He goes, thoughts on my first cycle. I'm 23 with 4 years of training. Now, Ryan hasn't really gone over to the dark side, but I have. From personal experience, you said you're 23, you've been training for 4 years. Now, I don't know what your training's like. I don't know what your nutrition is like. It could be borderline, average, above average, but I don't know those numbers. And if I could go back in time, I started when I was 21. I had older friends. They were all doing it. And everyone thought I was on steroids anyway, so I thought, you know what, I'll give it a crack. I think that was a bad judgment of choice. If I could go back and I was this 23-year-old, training for a few years, I would actually get a coach, man. If you're really thinking of being a bodybuilder, do a few shows naturally like Ryan is and seeing how your body adapts with a coach on your back 24/7, giving you the right nutrition advice and training and seeing what your body can do naturally. And then after a year or so of that, then you can make the decision, because stuffing up your hormones in the long run, it's not going to be best for you. You might not be able to have kids. You might stuff up your mental capacity. You might go a bit crazy. Like, you don't know how your body's going to respond. So yeah, it's a question I get a lot from young guys, and I just really want you to do a natural show. If you really want to look good and bodybuild, do at least one natural show before you go onto that pathway, because I know you're probably going to do it anyway, but that's probably the best advice I could give you. And if you don't listen to my advice, start very, very low. Don't take 6 things at once. Start with testosterone only. Like, I'm not a doctor, but that sounds more logical. If I could go back, I would do that. But please, look after your health.
Yeah, it does sound more logical to go with something that's...
Yes, start with testosterone very, very low. But I would recommend natural show first. But, it's a taboo subject. People don't want to talk about it. But I get it. If you probably won't listen to me anyway and do it, just be smart. And, think of people around you, your family. Maybe you're living at home still with your parents, Imagine you take too many things and you go a bit loopy and you do something stupid. Then you go to jail for something like maybe road rage or something. You don't know what's going to happen. You hear a lot of crazy stories. A lot of the times it's young guys that aren't... What age do they say that you're like a man?
Maturity, it's like over 25 or something like that.
So under 25, your brain isn't fully developed yet. So when you add those hormones to your body and you're 3 or 4 times the amount of your natural state, mate, that's where people go, they have rage, they maybe kill someone with a one knockout punch. Like, you don't know what's going to happen. And the last thing I want to hear is someone do something stupid just because they want to look a bit better. If you just want to look good and you're not thinking of, actually being an athlete or anything like that, don't do it. I think it's stupid. Up until you're like 30 or 35 when your testosterone and everything is actually very low, then think about stuff like that.
Doing it. Yeah, and I like the point you brought up before of like actually getting a coach and seeing what like your potential is. Because if you really look at it, like 4 years being training, that'll put you like maybe just in intermediate.
We don't even know.
If you've been doing all the right things. Like, you'd just be entering intermediate now if you've been doing all the right things. And like, for me, I don't think really anyone should think about it until you head into advanced, because even intermediate, you can still get mad gains. You can still get cracker gains.
Mate,
like,
you're 23. Your hormones are fucking amazing right
now.
100%.
Go get, and I think we spoke about this off air.
Go get
your blood test.
Yes.
Go get all that shit checked. And as you said, go hire a coach, someone who knows what they're talking about, someone who can like teach you some different techniques to maybe push you over that edge.
And with the coach,
you might have stalled or something.
I forgot to mention, get a coach that has natural competitors. Don't go to a coach that if you speak to a coach and they straight away tell you to take certain things, choose a different coach.
Yeah,
because that's just stupid.
Yeah, I think it's a good point, man. Probably do 1 or 2 shows, see how you like it. You might not even like the sport.
Yeah.
Plus, you just get a better understanding of like what you actually have to go through. And then if you have that understanding, you still love it. Fuck, like, who am I to judge? Like, I'm not going to judge you. But at the end of the day, fuck, you're still 24, man. Oh, man. Oh, I wish I was 34.
I wish I could go back to 21 and change all those stupid decisions I made
back then. Holy shit. I just wanted to train every second of the day.
Never got sore, could party, could work, could sleep only 4 hours and
get
be
up,
great.
Train like hectic. Yeah, man, you're in the prime of your life. Keep going, son. Just get bit of more education from a good coach on like what are some techniques that can maybe push you past. Maybe you're at a stall at the moment, you're not seeing the growth that you were seeing when you were a newbie. Maybe you just need a subtle little change that might like push you over the edge and get you back to sort of like your newbie gains again. You know what I mean? That might be all it takes. It's definitely going to be cheaper than jumping on the dark side.
Cheaper and
less
better for your health.
Everything.
And a lot of the time, young guys probably aren't even eating enough, to be fair.
Yeah, bro. If your nutrition is on point, if your sleep isn't on point, if your training isn't on point, if you're not stress managing, if you're going out partying every weekend, you're not dedicated anyway, so there's no point in doing it.
Exactly. So please be smart. I wish I could go back and change everything, but I can't. But maybe you can, be better than I was. So, yeah.
Wisdom. That's the one. Nice, bro. Thanks for sharing that too, bro. That's nice.
With what?
Just everything, you know what I mean? Sharing your story.
Oh, I have to, man. Like, people ask me, I'm not going to lie and say, nah, I'm all natural. Like, that doesn't cut it. Yeah. I am now, I'm natural. But
it's good to get that insight of like when you were 21 and stuff like that.
Yeah, don't let people influence you. Like, if 100%. It's steroids, if it's cocaine, if it's weed, don't. Steroids. Just listen to that voice in your head that's saying the right thing and follow that voice. Yeah. Because it can save you a lot of bullshit.
100. All right, is that all the questions?
That's all the questions, my
Lovely.
man.
Gee, my bro.
Beautiful.
Thanks for sticking around, guys. We'll see you next time on the 3, 2, 1 Go Show.
See you later.